Welcome to the show. It's a daytime vibe, DC purple, let the positivity tribe. Catching up on the highlights, what's new, what's real. Flowing through the moments, that's our ideal. Grab your drink, let's unwind. In this space, good time find. Daytime pop-up, we're loud and we're free. With DCT, the purple diva, cup with me, catching all the good. In this vibrant space, join the fun, come on now, let's embrace. Stories from our lives and the world around. Pop up, chat, hear the joy, feel the sound. From laughter to lessons, all wrapped in a beat. Tune in, stay close, let's vibe on this street. See the love, feel the flow. With every second, watch us glow. Daytime pop-up, we're live and we're free. With DCT's and purple diva, cup with me, catching all the good. In this vibrant space, join the fun, come on now, let's embrace. Together we rise, thanks for coming by. In this daytime pop-up, we reach for the stars.
Hola, from the west side. Elise Mercules. Happy hump day, happy hump day. Well, I hope everybody is having a good Wednesday, um, either on the replay or if you are catching this live. Hold on, y'all. I'm getting spam calls on my phone. Another reason why I'm not doing this on my phone and I'm trying to utilize this StreamYard since I'm paying for it again. But anyway, it's right after my lunch here in the West, but StreamYard was StreamYarding today. So I ended up spending my lunchtime trying to get back on StreamYard. Meanwhile, I had been on StreamYard all morning long prepping for this pop-up. And I wanted to just go straight live from StreamYard without scheduling in it, and it just acted weird. Then, when I scheduled it, it ended up, hold on one second, y'all. Not allowing me to come back in. So then I had to change the internet plan that I was on. I think I was on the one that everybody else in the house is using. So I've had to move it over to the one that my work computer is on. And if you hear those little pings in the background, That's my work computer. So instead of me eating my lunch during lunchtime, I was messing around trying to get the live together because the goal was to get on here before I had to go back to work. Mission was accomplished, but only by a couple of minutes. Only by a couple of minutes. This is only on this one that I was on. But anyway, this is just going to be a relatively short live because now I've just been, because I had to spend most of the time that I wanted to spend live trying to get my StreamYard together. And let me move the mic in front of me so we don't so you guys kind of can hear me. But it's been a kind of crazy week with people leaving this earth. Yesterday, I think I found out about somebody else, and it was I'm looking because that was work. Somebody at work mentioned that. Although I work remotely, as you heard the ping, we're able to. Oh, it was a professional baseball player that died in this past week. They didn't say the person's name. They didn't say their name. Yep. Who's the professional baseball player that died this week? I wonder who that was. Let me look. I'm looking, y'all. And let me put some background music in here. I know there's like nothing going on. I usually have that set up, but I had that stuff going on. So it was a basketball or baseball player. I think it was a baseball player. I know someone else that did die this last weekend. That's that older gentleman that was on TikTok. Um, there was a World War II veteran, and he lived to be 102. That's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm looking to see if it's a baseball player or a basketball player because I'm finding a baseball player. Yeah, I'm finding a baseball player, but it was more than a week ago. Oh, oh wow. Okay. Okay, so yeah, it was a Chase Childers, a former minor league baseball player, um, recently passed while saving swimmers from a riptide current off Pawleys Island in South Carolina. So they that's the person, the baseball player who died under similar circumstances. And riptide currents are extremely, dangerous. Um, it doesn't matter if you are a good swimmer. Um, with riptide currents, the advice is to swim um, parallel to the shoreline. In other words, don't swim the same way. You have to swim parallel to the shoreline to get away from it. So, and we normally are swimming vertical to the shoreline. That's what we're normally because we're swimming away from it. So this is what people are supposed to do to keep from getting caught in a riptide. And this is really sad because Malcolm had an impact on several generations, not just the generation that he was in. And here's the thing. Very rarely do people just call him Malcolm. Most people call him by his entire name, Malcolm Jamal Warner. And for clarification, his first name is Malcolm Jamal. It's a hyphenated. And but from people that I know that knew him, even though the world knew him as Theo and many people would refer to him as Theo, he hated that. And although Theo started his career and he was gracious, and for many, I would say Jen Jones, which is my generation, because we were like young adults at the time that the Cosby Show came out, and for Gen Xers who literally were kids during the Cosby Show era, and then our kids who you know, who were able to see, the repeats before all of this stuff happened with Mr. Cosby, which caused, you know, networks like Nickelodeon or Nick at Night to no longer play the Cosby Show. So we have this younger generation that don't even know that he played that iconic role. But however, he was also a spoken word artist. He got a Grammy for spoken word. He was Emmy nominated for his role as Theo on the Huxtables, of of the Cosby Show. But and however, he won a Grammy for his poetry, and his poetry was bomb. Um, if you get a chance, there's a clip I would play it, but I'm not into being copyright struck by the Breakfast Club. Um, I believe that it's in YouTube Short as well as over on TikTok. And he's doing a poem that's called Asante Sana. If you can find that live performance of him doing it, or it's on one of his poetry albums. Let me see if I can tell you which one because I have them all. If I can tell you which one. That poem is deep. It goes to my music. I need to pull up Malcolm Warner. Let's see. I mean, it is on. I'll tell you which. Just trying to find it. It is on. I know y'all. I'm like, go to the album. Okay, it's on It's on Hiding in Plain Sight, and it's entitled Asante Sana. Go check it out. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, but that poem is deep. If I find it on YouTube, I am going to post it on my community wall so you guys can see it, because Malcolm Jamal Warner was a true artist. And although I'm from the generation right before him, he's one of the, that show that he was on is one of the reasons that I saw what my family dynamic was. I saw my family dynamics on that. My dad was and still is a physician. And, my mom wasn't an attorney, but my mom had a master's in chemistry, and she was a patent examiner. They were both working professionals, college educated. And ironically, my parents both went to HBCUs. And that show did propel a lot of people into going to HBCU. Same thing that happened when the world shut down. A lot of students started going to HBCU. When Deion Sanders was coaching at Jackson State, he got a lot of athletes, specifically black athletes, to start going to HBCU. And I think now people have a better understanding of HBCUs. Now, out of my siblings, I'm the only one who went to an HBCU, and I only did that my freshman year. After that, I transferred to a PWI, but both of my parents were at HBCU. My dad went to Morehouse, and as I've said many times on my stuff, that my dad was part of the civil rights movement, specifically the college sit-in. But you know, I know it's kind of crazy. that we lost someone who was so impactful. And I want to talk about just real quickly about one thing that a lot of people have brought to light and really spoken on in regards to Malcolm Jamal Warner. And that is the fact that he kept his wife and child private. Nobody outside of, I'm sure, his very close friends know what they look like or can identify them. I mean, we've seen like pictures of his daughter at very, but mainly you couldn't see her full face. Um, and that is a good thing because they're able to grieve. They're able to grieve this loss. Because imagine the fact that they were on a family vacation when this happened to Malcolm's mom. And I can only imagine that he potentially died in front of his wife and his child who's under the age of 10. We don't know exactly how old she is, but we know she's under the age of 10. And if you look to see the last video that he posted, I forget where I saw it. I think I saw it on his Instagram. It was on his daughter's birthday. And he was just talking about people always finding a reason to smile. That's what he talked about. Everyone just always finding a reason to smile. So, like I said, this isn't going to be a long one right now. I just want to kind of get on here and just, really talk about that. I'll be with more details when I come back on later. But, you know, I had to get on here for a minute. I do also want to say I'm watching all that stuff that's going on with folks who are out here and their content is other people. And let me just say this, and this is just my opinion. My opinion is that if your content is other content creators, be they in your sector or some other sector, is that really content? I'm just saying, is that really content? And is that all you know how to do as content? Is that all you can do as content? I'm just wondering, you know? I gotta let somebody know I'm live. Hold on, y'all. I'm I'm stepping a note to somebody. Okay. All right. I'm back. All right. I had to do that. I'm like, you see, every time I decide to come on here live, somebody comes in here and I'm getting phone calls and stuff. I get distracted. But anyway, let me finish what I was saying. Okay. Okay, that's about something else. I'm gonna have to call him back. That's my goddaughter. So I do have to take care of that. But but the fact that Malcolm kept his family so private, they're able to breathe and everything. Not what I was talking about. No, 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 no. I was talking about content creators who make other content creators their content. In my opinion, that's not really being a creative. Now you may think differently, but I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. No more than I'm going to listen to the full one of everybody's live unless it's, you know, something I happen to be there for live. But on the replay game, I'm skipping through. And why would it take anybody hours to recap other people's stuff? I'm just one, but let me mind my business. Because, that's not even my lane. I'm not gonna react to other content creators because that's not what I came on here for. But I'm wondering when we start these new, you know, as YouTube is doing what they're doing, is that gonna be considered original content? Or are you gonna have to find something else? And it's not just one person because there's a bunch of people that do that, especially after the Diddy trial. A bunch of people who were talking, making other content creators their content. So, anyway, let me keep going. I'm just thinking that's, I don't know. Give me your opinion. Do you think other people being your content is content? Let me know. Let me know down in the comments. Because, I know I got to get out of here. I will be back later, I think. I'm scheduled to come back later. Let me change this to that one. So we are definitely getting on out of here, but I will see you guys later. Until then, peace and blessings from the west side. Y'all, I'm out. Peace. Bye.
In this space, good time find. Daytime pop up, we're loud and we're free. With DCT, the purple diva cup, with me catching all the good. In this vibrant space, join the fun, come on now, let's embrace. Stories from our lives and the world around. Pop up chat, hear the joy, feel the sound.